Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 10th of December 2018, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, as always the usual stuff. But before we jump into that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on is Nasdaq 100 here. Certainly we're getting closer to the opening bell here. Now looking at the cash index, we could see a bit of a correction here back to the upside here. As you know, the European markets are kind of trying to recover slightly from the losses, so in a way, looking at this Nasdaq 100 index chart, so we could in a way open above this 6,575 level that I talked about in one of my previous videos, where I was talking about the Nasdaq. And certainly this is going to be very interesting to watch, because if this is actually has been the low here, or will we actually reverse here and move back up here? Certainly it's going to be very interesting to continue monitoring the equity markets until New Year, of course. But looking at this chart specifically and looking at this daily chart, you can see that I had this downside resistance line drawn here earlier, and we managed to break it to the upside, but then quickly the index managed to pull back here and dropped below it again. But what I wanted to show you, actually, in a way, we could redraw this line right now here and connecting these little points, so creating this little short-term downside resistance line with the peak of the from the 17th of October, and this is going to be a very nice line here that we're going to keep on monitoring, because if we'll see the index traveling back up here, let's assume that, of course, if we'll see this one traveling back up here, this is going to be the line that we're going to be keep watching, because the upside could be limited due to this little short-term downside resistance line, and it might continue to hold, and it could potentially continue forming these lower highs here on the Nasdaq. Certainly that would be interesting to see, because if this let's say reverses back up here and pushes higher and breaks above the 6,700 level and then goes on and tests the 6,850, now a nice good break above the 6,850 level could potentially open the path towards a retest of this little short-term downside resistance line. And if so, then we could in a way be looking at something like a triangle here. Certainly this could be an idea here. Of course, first we need to see this confirmation, but so don't get your head around this too much, because like I said, this is just an idea, and we could see something like this, a bit of coiling up here in this index, getting closer towards New Year. And this could be a bit of a range trading here, and getting into a squeeze here. So this is just an idea for now, guys. So of course, for such an idea, we need to see this level here, the 6,575 level, getting held. So if that's the case, if this is gonna get held here, keep on monitoring this 6,700 level, and then of course the more important one is the 6,850. Let's see if that gets tested again before the end of this year. If let's say this drops below the 6,575, certainly this puts the level here, the 6,440 level, back on the radar. This level here acted as a very nice area of support here on the 20th of November. So so some quite interesting levels here. But to be honest, if that doesn't hold, I mean, further declines are possible. So yep, this is where we could then potentially target the 6,325 area, which was approximately near the lows of April here of this year. So yep, some quite interesting levels here. But first, of course, this is what we're going to keep an eye on. We're going to keep an eye on the 6,575. Once again, I will repeat myself. A good break below this could drag this index towards a retest, a possible retest of the 6,440 level marked by the low of November here, or we could see maybe this one reversing back up here and traveling all the way here above the 6,700, and then maybe even testing the 6,850. But again, long story short, guys, for now, judging by this weakness that we're seeing in the equity markets, there is a good chance that we could see this one traveling a little bit lower here. Like I said, potentially testing the November lows here. Jumping into US oil, which is the WTI, and continues to trade below this short-term downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 10th of October. Certainly, we saw last week a few pops above it, but kind of never managed to close the day above that line. So in a way, this still kind of points out the bearishness that revolves around this this commodity, and certainly for now we're going to stay put and just continue observing some key areas of support and resistance. Now, in terms of the support, you can see I've got highlighted here or marked here the 50.15 area approximately there. You can see it acted as a very nice area of support. Never managed to close below this line, the 50.15. This is something for you guys to keep an eye on, because if this travels lower and breaks this, and we see a daily close here below the 50.15 level, certainly keep your eyes on the 49.25 zone approximately there. I do have it as a 23 here, but nevertheless, for 49.25, this is something for you guys to keep an eye on, because as you can see, this level here, the 49.25, 23, acts as a very strong area of support here back in October last year, from which you can see that the commodity decided to continue pushing higher here. So it was a nice area for the bulls to step in and push this commodity back up here. Now then, this is again, that's what I'm saying, so keep your eyes on this 49.25 area, but only if we get a break below the 50.15. So like I said, the 50.15 is going to be the one to watch, the more important one to watch initially. So if that gets broken, if these two levels get broken, well, I mean, there are some very good potential areas of support here underneath, but of course, let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. First, let's see what it wants to do with the 50.15 on the downside. On the upside here, now I do have this level here, the 52.83 mark now, but this, to be honest, could get adjusted a little bit here. Certainly we could drag it a little bit higher here towards the 53.35, but to be honest, the more important one that we're going to be keeping an eye on is, of course, the downside resistance line. This little short-term downside resistance line, a nice good pop above it could potentially open the path towards higher levels, but for a better confirmation of the upside, basically what we will be watching is the 54.80 level approximately there. Now a nice good pop above this could potentially open the path towards the 57.90 or even higher here, the 61.25. Now certainly, of course, in this scenario, if you do get this break here above the 54.80, what I would like you to kind of keep in mind is, if we're gonna just go back a little bit in history here and draw this little or should I say little, a bit of a bad word for that, little, but this long-term upside support line that has been running here since the lows of the 10th of February 2016. So this is something for you guys to keep an eye on. Certainly, this is the line that could get tested from underneath if we get that pop here above the 54.80 80 zone. So for now, keep watching this one. Keep your eyes on this little short-term downside resistance line. As long as it remains intact, we will, well, according to the rules, we should keep looking south. Let's put it that way. But again, anything can happen. I mean, we could see maybe this break here, and if we do see that break, this is when we'll react to this commodity and see how and start looking at possible moves higher. So yep, for now guys, long story short, for now it's trying to move lower. Let's see if it breaks the 50.15. If it does, further declines are possible, but if it struggles to get below this, then yep, this is where the bears could start worrying a little bit. But in order for us to get comfortable with the upside, we need to see this nice good pop above the 54.80 zone. Jumping into a few pairs now. So USDCAD. Now this is what quickly wanted to touch on, and let me just jump into a 4-hour chart on this one. And as you can see already from what I've got drawn here, is we've got a nice rising channel formation here, and certainly the pair has declined since from last week, when it saw a bit of on Friday it sold off here heavily still. Nevertheless, it closed the week in the positive zone. So now we can see that the momentum is picking up again, and the bulls are trying to push this pair higher. Certainly, this is the levels that we're keeping an eye on for today, is the 133.35 area approximately there. So you can see that it's pushing higher nicely now, moving away further from the pivot. Of course, if this continues to push higher, then yep, what we're going to keep an eye on here is the R1, which is approximately around the 133, 96, 95 area. But to be honest, in a way, if the pair will manage to reach that level, might as well touch the 134 zone. So the 134 is going to be the one that we're going to be keep monitoring, but for that we need to see a continuation move here to the upside, away from the middle line here, as you can see from the middle line here of the Bollinger Band, so the 20 MA. So it's currently kind of getting stuck here near that area. So for now, keep on monitoring this one. Certainly it seems to be more bullish than bearish, but it's very close, still very close, and well, let's put it that way. Keep on monitoring this one, guys, the 134 for today. Let's see if actually we get a touch of that area or not. If this reverses back down, well, what you could look at from the very short-term perspective here is of course these lows here, where you can see that the 4-hour candles were not able to close below the 132.95 zone. So approximately there, this is something for you guys to keep on monitoring. Certainly we had these breaks here below that, but it kind of never got a close below that. So this could be your short-term gauge here for maybe a bit of a downside here move. So where we could then potentially test the lower side of this rising channel. So yep, this is, like I said, this is from the very short-term perspective, but as long as it kind of remains intact, as long as this lower side of the rising channel remains intact, in a way we should be aiming for higher levels again. So but let's say if it gets to that point here, this is where you should be very cautious, because this is where the big battle between the bulls and the bears could kick off. So for now, basically for the downside, from the very short-term perspective, keep on monitoring the 1.3295 area, and on the upside, let's see how if this continues to push higher, and let's see if it manages to reach the 134 zone. So for now, judging from the picture that we're seeing here right now, it seems more bullish than bearish, but again, be very careful with this pair. Jumping into GBPUSD now, this is the big news are surrounding this pair today. So it's pushing down nicely, managed to break the key important 126.60 levels here. So as you can see, it's broke it to the downside. This is where we had the S2 here. and certainly it managed to stop here in between the S2 and S3 around the 126.15 zone. So what we're going to keep an eye on here is today we're going to continue monitoring the S3, which is around the 125.75 area, but to be honest, slightly above that we do have a much better area of support, which is near the 125.90. Now this 125.90 acted as a very nice area of support, and let me just go back into history here. It acted as a very nice area of support here back in the let me just drag this mouse here, back in June 2017. So quite an important level becomes this one, the 125.90. If of course, like I said, if that gets broken, then yep, we could see further declines, and this is where you could continue monitoring the S3, which is around the 125.75. But if this, let's say, holds, if we, or even let's say if we're going to get a nice reversal right now and the pair moves back above the S2, or in other words the 126.60, certainly this could mean that the pair is not ready yet to close the daily candle above below this the 126.60 level, and we could see maybe a bit of a correction back up here towards this little short-term tentative, of course, downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 7th of November. Now, certainly, but again, I'll repeat myself, for us to kind of consider this scenario, we need to see a nice good move back above the 126.60. And the last pair for today I want to quickly touch on, and that's Euro GBP. So of course, as you probably understand, that if the GBP is selling off here, the Euro is not selling off that much like the GBP USD. So we're seeing this Euro GBP spiking here higher. So it managed to break a few key areas of resistance here around the 0.8946, 45 area, something like that. And you can see today it skyrocketed from this R1 here, which was near the 0.8970, and managed to reach the 0.9045 area approximately there. So it was a middle area here between the R2 and R3. So now it's a bit retracing back to the downside. Let's see how much it will retrace. We do have an important area here of resistance. Well, it was previously acting as a resistance. Now it could act as a support near the 0.9020 level, which was marked here by the highs of the 5th of September. So let's see how that area plays out. If it still breaks that, where we're going to keep on monitoring here is the R2, which is near the 0.9070 area, approximately there, and let's see how that plays out. Certainly, like I said, if this area holds, we could see the bulls jumping in here back into this pair and pushing this pair back up here, maybe even potentially driving it towards much higher levels here around the 0.9080 zone, which is near the R3 mark. So keep on monitoring. Very interesting pair. At the moment we are seeing a bit of a decline, but to be honest, this could be just a small correction before another push higher. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. If you want to join me tomorrow morning in my Trader's Espresso, and that's 7 o'clock GMT time. Yep, 7 o'clock GMT time, guys. So yep, feel free to join in and check. This is where we're going to have a look at some more charts and see how they're performing, and yep, see how the day evolves. But for now, thank you very much for watching and listening, and bye bye.